Okay, recording now. So like I just said, today's workshop is going to be about essay writing and telling your story. So I've already introduced myself, and so I'm not going to go over that aspect again, but I wanted to get to know you all, and we're going to break some ice with an icebreaker on a true or false. So I'm going to place some statements on the screen. You're going to tell me if you think that they are true or false, and they're going to relate to college essays. So I'm going to place this statement on the screen. Admissions officers only want to read dramatic stories about a big challenge or tragedy. Do you all think this is true or false?
False.
False?
Yeah.
Okay. Correct. That is false. Admissions officers want to read stories about you, whether or not it involves a tragedy, if you've actually experienced one, or a challenge that might not be so dramatic. But the important thing to share in your story is you in particular. The next question is, admissions officers do not really read the essays, so it does not matter how hard you try. Is this true or false?
False.
False. That's correct. They do read the essays, and it is your one opportunity to share information about yourself that they cannot find in other parts of your application. So when they read your application, they don't just read the essay, they read the whole application, and the essay is the one opportunity you have to really tell your story and describe yourself for the admissions officers that have never met you. The final question is, admissions officers will not notice if you copy someone else's narrative or story.
False.
Wow, good job. Okay, so this one is also false. Plagiarism is a very serious concern in US universities. And so if you demonstrate plagiarism at the application process, schools are not going to trust your ability to write independently and without plagiarism as a student. So that would be an automatic disqualifier for a candidate, and students and schools are not interested in reading applications that have been copied from someone else's work. So we've just done these true or false. Are there any questions?
Yes, they are. So like on that last note, we were wondering, how do they notice exactly? Because let's say we have the same life stories and then we choose to share them exactly at the same moment. Then how will they notice that one of us is copying each other? Or let's say perhaps we just two people and then we're applying to maybe let's say different schools and we just choose to use each other's essays for applications. Then how would they notice? Do they correspond with each other? How does it work? Thank you.
So on the question of two people having the same story, yes, it's possible for two people to have the same story. So for instance, if two girls go to the same summer camp and start the same project and have the same lesson they learned, it is possible that those are two stories, but those are two different people. And so the way that you write should be different. You both are going to have different writing stories, and the way that you write and tell your story and your perspective is going to be different. So the counselors are going to expect that even if you have two similar stories and experiences, the way you write should be different, and the way you write should also show your own voice. And so with that question, it comes down to the language you use. So if you use the same language, so if your sentences are the exact same, that's plagiarism. Both of you should not have the same exact words on paper because the school is looking to admit you, not you as a team going to school together. And with the second question about going submitting the same essay to different schools. Sometimes, and not always the case, but there are computer systems and programs that actually can detect copied words and language. And so in the system, if they see sentences that have been repeated or borrowed from someone else's text, it will immediately flag that these words have been copied from someone else. If a school is not using that system, if they come across the same essay that has been copied or that they've seen before, someone will pick it up and notice. Oftentimes, it's not just one person reading your essay, but multiple people. And so those multiple people might have had an opportunity to have read your essay or your friend's essay. And so if they notice the same language used, they would mark that as plagiarism. And sometimes it may not be caught as clearly or as quickly, but the danger to getting caught with plagiarism is immediate termination of your application. Does that make sense?
And I think also what I would want to add to Lauren, what Lauren has said, is that even if you say, okay, you know, I'm using an essay that my brother used for this school 3 years ago, or that my brother used, you know, a friend of mine, you know, 5 years ago, like Lauren said, it might not be the same person reading that essay, but it's the same team. And think of it this way. If you've read a book, let me say you've read Lord of the Rings, right? If you hear somebody else, you know, retell Lord of the Rings, even if you don't remember the title of the book or you don't remember the author to that book, the story is very similar to you. It's going to ring a bell, obviously, right? Because you've heard that story before, you've read it before, even if it was 5 years ago. So even for these admissions counselors, they can tell a story that sounds a little too similar to something they could have read, you know, some time back, because they also talk. So for example, if I read an essay, we're a team of 5, if I read an essay and I find it quite outstanding, I'm going to talk about it with my teammates. So if you come next year and use the same story, I'm going to be like, wait, why does this sound so familiar? You know, put it into that system, the plagiarism system, to detect, is this deja vu, or is this story really plagiarized? So you just never want to put yourself in such a situation. And there are people who've actually been admitted only for the admission to be revoked because of that. And once that happens to you, you're blacklisted to every other college. Nobody is going to take you after that. So you just never want to play that risk card. You just never want to put yourself in such a situation, because should one school find out, then all the other schools are going to blacklist you. Yeah.
Thank you for adding that. Okay, so I want to just discuss the purpose of your essay, because today's focus is on telling your story. And so the essay, no matter what question you choose, is going to be an opportunity for you to demonstrate your writing abilities and to give insight into who you are personally, academically, and professionally. So these 3 aspects of who you are as a person, your personality, your performance at school, your professionalism, is a space for you to demonstrate that in the essay. Personal essays are also an opportunity to share a clear and concise story about yourself and highlight why you should be admitted. Now, I have put this point in there. It's not just to tell a story about yourself, but you need to also demonstrate why you should be part of the school. Remember, the whole goal of your essay is to be admitted into this campus, into this university. And so your essay is going to be the opportunity to share why you yourself fit for the school. So we're going to do a quick activity. You're going to become an admissions reviewer. I'm going to show you the questions that we're going to look out for, and then I'm going to put the application on the screen. So before we read it, I want us to consider some questions. 1, what was the applicant's essay about? 2, what skills can the applicant contribute to Johns Hopkins University? 3, what makes this applicant a strong candidate? Could I have one volunteer read this essay for us?
Sure, I can.
Sorry, what's your name?
My name is Piete.
Piete, thank you.
Stepping out of my comfort zone. If you told me I would be playing a sport called squash at 11 years old, I would call you crazy. But in 7th grade, I was at a new school 10 times bigger than my last one. I felt like a little fish in a big pond. I was quiet, withdrawn, and very introverted. A lot of the time, I stayed where I was comfortable. During the first week of school, a group of people visited the school and they introduced themselves as squash busters. At that time, I'd only heard of squash only once before, but I didn't really know what it was. Because the program combined the sport of squash with academic support, mentoring, and service opportunities, I decided to sign up. It's been 6 years, and this program has made a monumental difference in my life. Being a part of Squash Busters is a program that really pushed me out of my shell to the point where I've grown accustomed to challenging myself. In Squash Busters, they tell us to push ourselves past our limits on the squash courts. But that mindset has transferred to the other areas of my life as well, from team trips and tournaments to cringy karaoke moments and participating in eccentric traditions like our annual Squash Busters Olympics. My comfort zone has steadily grown larger. My peers brought out a side of me I didn't even know existed. I haven't transformed completely from introvert to extrovert, but I've become more social as the years go by. At Hopkins, I want to do something similar. I want to try new things and embrace the campus traditions, even though I will develop intellectually from many academic classes and clubs or activities offered on campus. I feel as though a true community is birthed from exploring beyond what one's used to. From traditions like Blue Jay Opening Day and the Spring Fair to the many world-changing clubs like the can you please scroll?
Amnesty.
Yes, scroll.
I'm not sure if it's gonna let me.
Yes. It's yeah.
I'll just continue it for you. It's not coming up, but it's Amnesty International Club and Foreign Affairs Symposium. The different ways to be involved in Hopkins community is limitless and invigorating, and I can't wait to be part of the Hopkins family. Thank you for reading that essay. So let's go back to the questions that we started to have. What is the applicant's essay about? Can I get a volunteer to share? What was the applicant's essay about?
Sure, you can speak up. We hear you discussing in the background. It's okay to discuss with us too.
Okay, so we were saying the essay is about getting out of your comfort zone, and then they talked about some squash busters.
Great. So this applicant talked about a challenge that they had was being in their comfort zone and what they did themselves personally to step out of that. And that was them stepping out of their comfort zone and joining this organization. The next question I have is, what skills can the applicant contribute to Johns Hopkins University? So as a missions counselor, you're going to try to think about what skills can this applicant bring when they are a student at the university. So from reading his essay, can somebody tell me what skills you see the applicant can contribute to the university?
Okay, so we're thinking the skills she showed were the fact that she steps out of her comfort zone easily and is able to adapt and actually learn new things a lot of the times, and that okay, she wants to learn. It shows that she wants to learn and is eager to learn new things and try out things.
Good. So that's actually a really strong skill, the eagerness, the ambitiousness, a desire to learn, being open. And you also said adaptable. Remember, university is completely different than high school and primary school. And so demonstrating an ability to be adaptable is something that universities look for in their students when they face the challenges that are new and different in university. Okay, so the last question as we look at this applicant, what do you think makes this applicant a strong candidate? So what do you think makes them someone that's likely to get into the university?
What we think makes the applicant a strong candidate is that she's open to learn more, to experience more about the school and be part of the community and the campus there.
Good, good. So I want us to take a moment to think about all of these things that we have just now learned about this applicant that we've never met. Remember, the essay is the opportunity to share these important aspects of your character, of your personality, of your abilities. And we've learned all of this just by reading a few hundred words from this applicant. So I'm gonna get us started with the next activity. And this is gonna require you all to do some brain power and thinking on your own. Before we move on, are there any questions from this activity? Okay, thank you. And those that just joined, hi, I want to say hello. Would you like to introduce yourselves briefly before we go on to the next part? Who do we have on Zoom?
You can unmute yourself to let us know who it is and what school you're coming from.
Hello. I'm from St. Ignatius High School, and my name is Mutanwase Adviser. It's located in Kibagabaga. Thank you.
Tim, Fabrice, do you guys want to introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from?
Hi, I am called Fabrice. We are from Ramagan Leader School.
Yes, thank you so much. I am Iradukunda Kabiriti, same school, Ramagana Leader School.
Thank you for joining us.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, Mitan
Thank
called
you.
Tissermable. Yeah, the same school. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. So we've already been talking a little bit about today's lesson topic in our workshop, which is telling your own personal story. So we're going to move on to a more personal activity. Some of you may have already started writing your essays and some of you may have not. But this activity is going to bring out an opportunity for you to think about who you are as a person and what you want to tell whenever you're going to start writing your college essay. So you're going to get an opportunity to choose option 1 or option 2. If you have already written your essay draft, so only the people that have already written the essay draft, I want you to first reread your essay. And then I want you to answer the following questions on a piece of paper. 1, what is your central topic or theme? 2, what do you want the admissions team to know about you? And 3, what do you still need to tell the admissions team in your essay about you? So for those of you who have not written your essay yet, you're going to be option number 2. And on a piece of paper, you're going to answer these 3 questions. So if you don't have one yet, please start to take out a piece of paper. Number 1, what are 3 adjectives you think best describe you? Examples can be creative, determined, passionate. Don't make those your 3 adjectives. So think deeply into what adjectives you think describe you. Number 2, what do you think is important that colleges should know about you that they would not be able to know from other parts of your application? So by that question, I mean, if in your application, you never got a chance to tell that you helped take care of your grandmother when she was sick, that would be an opportunity to use that space to tell that story, because it's not in your resume, it's not in your transcript, and it's nowhere else in your application. And finally, the third question is, what are some of the things or people you consider most important in your life, and how have they shaped who you are as a person? So this third question is big. You're going to answer 2 parts to it. What are some of the things or people you consider important in your life? So for you, that could be your mother, that could be your sister, that could be your neighbor or your friend. Then you're going to tell me how they shaped who you are as a person. Maybe your sister helped take care of you. Maybe your sister taught you many lessons. That's going to be the opportunity to tell me that in this question. So on a piece of paper, all of you right now are going to answer the 3 questions. If you have written your essay already, you're going to do option number 1. If you have not written your essay at all, please do option number 2. So I'm going to give you all a good amount of time to start writing and answering these questions, because we're going to do that right now. Are there any questions for me? Zero? No questions at all? Zero? Okay, please begin. If you do have questions, feel free to unmute or to ask in the chat.
I have a question. How long is this exercise so that they can time themselves?
Good. I'm going to give you all 20 minutes. 20 minutes should be enough time for you to write some strong and detailed answers. So I see that we have a few people that just joined our workshop. As Faithful mentioned, if you just joined, you have 20 minutes, about 20 minutes to complete the exercise on the screen. If you have already written your essay, your personal statement for college, you can complete option number 1. If you have not written your essay, please complete option number 2. You're going to be doing this on a piece of paper right now. Thank you for sharing that. Those were very strong adjectives, and you have a clearer picture of who has inspired you in your father and what you've learned from that. So please take these things that you've pulled about yourself and incorporate them into your essay, because you have a great story that's that could be told. I really like the thirsty for knowledge one as well. Can I get one more volunteer to share with us their response?
Greetings. I don't think they really. Greetings. My name's Merveille. Starting with the first questions, the three adjectives that describe me since I have no personal essay. The first is pragmatic. I'm more practical than idealistic. Second, I'm obedient. And third thing is that I'm very helpful. I just hate being idle, yet I can do something to help out. And second thing is something college would like to know about me that isn't anywhere else is that I started parenting at a very young age, yeah, which goes with the third question. Some of the things and people who I consider most important is that, okay, during my parenting at a young age, my mom told me that one of the reasons why I should adopt that is that I have to go fast. So, which is one of the things I consider most important, because since I'm the firstborn, I have to go fast and do everything for my siblings to, you know, live better and live comfortable. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so I'll let us have time for one more person to share. Can I get one more person to share with us? That was a great picture of what you've learned about yourself and the lessons you learned by being the firstborn.
I think I'm going to volunteer somebody from a different school. Emmanuel Iradukunda. Emmanuel Iradukunda,
Yes.
please share.
Hello, can you listen to me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Starting with the three adjectives that I describe me. I'm sorry, I'm in the class, so there's some noise. Sorry. Start with the first question with the three adjectives that I think might describe me the best. They are patient. I just love being patient and waiting for my own things to come out. And I am persistent. And the last one, talented. The second question, uh, something that I think is most important that colleges would like to know about me that I wouldn't be able to tell, they wouldn't be able to tell from my application is that I have made an improvement, incredible improvement in mathematics. Like when I was in O level, I got aggregate 9. Aggregate 9, that means 0. And when I went to the A level, I just said like I need to change this. And since then, I've been getting straight A's or B's and some good grades. And the third question, some other things or people that I consider the most in my life and have shaped me, I have chosen my dad. When I was young, I thought my dad hated me so much. I thought my dad hated me so much. Like, he would cane me, he would whoop me, and he would insult me and everything. And I started saying, like, this guy hates me. Like, I was like that. But when I grew up and like some situations that I needed help from my dad, like at school, because I didn't have that good discipline, and my dad will come, I would see him begging, 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 and he taught me that I can't judge love but by the colors of our characters. Like he told me that, and so many more things. Yeah, I think it is that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that. And for question number 2 in particular, you showing me your persistence and you wanting to do better in your courses is a really strong story of yours. So think about considering telling stories that show your persistence. Okay, so with that, we're going to move on, and I'm going to allow you all some time to ask any questions you may have from today's session.
Okay, thank you. My name is Piete, and yes, I do have a question. And my question is, considering that people like to apply to many schools, is it okay to like have okay, is it advisable to write like a name of the school in your personal essay and just customize it to that school alone if you're going to do the supplements, or you should like write a general personal essay and then submit it to all the schools you're going to apply to? Thank you.
So I'll start and I'll allow Faithful to add as well, but you should always answer the question that they ask you. So if the essay questions are different, then make sure that you have your essay tailored to the specific question, because the other schools don't know what universities you apply to. And so the essay is a space for you to answer their specific question because you want to be their specific student. And so I would say first, make sure you answer the question. And if the essay applies to all of the schools that you want to, if the essay that you write responds to all of the questions from all of the schools that you apply to, you could use the same essay for those different applications. Just make sure that it does tailor to the university and to the question. So just be careful. The worst thing you could do is to say that I want to go into University A and then submit that same essay to University B. They will not like that at all. Do not say the wrong name, the wrong university name in your essay.
I think what I'll add to that is that, so usually if you're going to apply through the Common App, then you're going to maybe have the exact same personal essay going to 20 plus colleges, right? However, if you're not applying through such a uniformized platform, then like Lauren has said, you need to make it very personal for that school. You just think of it this way, like WhatsApp groups. If you've been in a WhatsApp group before, there are messages that people don't even pay attention to in the WhatsApp group. However, if somebody writes Mujikari, right, inbox, then you feel like, okay, this is specifically to me as Piet, not me and 100 other people in this group, right? So that is exactly how you want the university to feel, that it's specifically addressed to them, not to them and like 50 other schools that you're applying to. Yeah. I see there's another question here from Gwamagana Leaders School. I would like to ask about personal essays, that shows rather than tell. Is it needed? If yes, how do you show and not just tell?
Well,
so maybe I can, okay.
Okay, go ahead, start.
Okay, so for example, I think Emmanuel talked about one of his 3 adjectives. One was persistence. And then, so instead of Emmanuel telling us, oh, I'm a very persistent person, anybody can come up with fancy, beautiful words to say about themselves, right? But how can we prove that what you're telling us is actually true about you? You need to not just tell us, but show us, how are you a persistent person? So when he comes and says, I'm a persistent person because when I was in the 9th grade, you know, I failed math. I basically got 0, but today I'm an A+ student, including in math. That shows us that, wow, Emmanuel is a persistent person. He didn't just give up because he had 0 in math. He actually kept on going and said, I'm not going to fail. So I have to. So something that shows us that Emmanuel is persistent and he's not just telling us. Because if you're going to tell, anyone can come and say, oh, I'm so beautiful, I'm so wonderful, I'm so creative, I'm so all ABCD up to Z, right? But show us, how are you ABCD up to Z? I hope that sort of makes sense, but I'll let Lauren add to that.
No, that's perfect. Exactly. That's the perfect example. Yeah.
Going once, going twice. Any other questions, guys? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
Once again, this is Merveille on speaker. Okay, I wanted to ask, is it okay? How likely is it that one writes a personal essay that does not talk about them? It talks about something abstract but still self-explanatory. Yeah.
Could you please clarify your question? Like, how can you write a personal statement that's not about yourself? It talks about something else, but that something else still talks about you. Is that what you mean?
Yes, but in such a way, but does not talk more about your story. What do you mean? Like an object essay, you talk about an object and how it has shaped you, but you're not talking about your story specifically. So it's not more about you, but that object and representing something. Oh, okay.
Well, we do not recommend you write a personal essay that does not talk about you. The whole purpose of your personal essay is to tell the admissions team who you are. And so if you write an essay about a dog that your mother bought you, and most of the essay talks about the dog, then I've learned nothing, because now I want to admit the dog and not you, if that makes sense.
So basically, Merveille, at the end of the day, whatever you choose to write about, you have to bring it full circle to show how has that impacted you? How is it telling a story about you? Whether, like Lauren has said, you're writing about your dog, or you're writing about your favorite movie, or you're writing about an art piece that you came across once when you were 10 in an art gallery. Whatever you choose to talk about, it has to tell the story about you, about something about you. It has to tell us who is Merveille at the end of the day. Maybe it will tell us, maybe that art piece you once walked into a gallery and saw is going to, or that favorite movie or some book that you read is going to tell us, oh, Merveille from this story, from this book that she read, learned how to persevere in life, or learned, had a mindset shift in how she approaches challenges in life. Or Merveille from this art piece that she once, saw in an art gallery, fell in love with art. And out of that, she's learned to be even creative in chemistry or math or whatever. Like whatever you choose to talk about, it could be the sunsets or anything, and that's fine. But whatever you choose to talk about, it has to tell a story about you. I hope that makes sense, Merveille. Does it make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Thank you.
I think if we don't have any other questions, we're going to wrap it up. Going once, going twice. Any last question? There's another question. Would you advise that our personal essays cover several problems in case one chooses to talk about problems encountered? I'll let you handle that, Lauren.
A clear essay talks about one specific challenge that you may overcome and the lessons that you learned from that. If you do want to cover multiple challenges, they need to come together in one clean, cohesive essay. So it's a lot easier. And what we often recommend is that you write about something specific, and then it ties into one central essay, because it can be very challenging and confusing to follow along if you tell many different stories. Yeah, so word limit depends on the school and what the essay says. Yes, and they will always specify it. Please pay attention to the word limit, because it's an opportunity for you to use all of that space to write what you need to say.
Yeah. And I think my English teacher in high school, as a rule of thumb, she said, you always want to plus or minus, you always never want to go below 15, like 15 words. So I don't know how true that is still today. But for example, if they tell you have an essay, 100 words, you don't want to write an essay of 75 words. At least you may write an essay of 85 words out of 100 or 90 words out of 100. It might not be specifically 100 words to the dots. And you definitely don't want to be writing over 100 words. In fact, some software will not let you even put a period if they've said X number of characters and you've exceeded the number of characters, right? So if they tell you it's 650 words, please don't write just 600 words. Try to aim and target for, if you really have few words, at least maybe not less than the minus 15 should be like the absolute minimum. So that was one of the rule of thumbs I always had when writing. I don't know how true that still is today, but you always want to hit the target they're giving you. And, otherwise it's going to look like you're just unserious. We've asked you to write 600 words and you've written 500. But maybe Lauren can also speak more to that.
Definitely. When I've reviewed applications, anyone that I see that writes less than the word count usually can use the space to tell me more, because when I read the applications, I think, wow, I wish I would have known more about what they started to talk about if only they had used the space. So oftentimes the word count is there because the people that write the prompt know that you can use that amount of space to really tell a full story. So please try to use the space.
Okay, I think we're 10 minutes over time, and so we'll close it here. I'll let Lauren close. And if you have any other questions, Lauren's email is on the email chain. So feel free to share other questions if you have. Otherwise, we'll be seeing you next week on Wednesday. Lauren, the ball's in your court if you have any last words.
Thank you. Just wanted to say thank you all for participating today. Remember, it's an active workshop, so we're all going to get here together to work and to learn and to grow and to make mistakes, because that's what you're supposed to do in this workshop. And so next time, we're going to talk a little bit more about writing skills and think about how we use our own voice when we write. Thank you again. And like I said, my email, like Faithful said, my email is within the chain. And so if you have any questions, please reach out to me, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome. Bye.